Hello everyone and welcome to another Starfield video. My name is Brian, if you happen to be new around here, and I've got some really exciting news, especially as it relates to Starfield. This is something very important to me, and if you guys haven't seen, Starfield is now confirmed to have new Game Plus. This takes it a game, in my mind, from a 200-hour game easily to a 2,000-hour game. New Game Plus, I think, should be a staple of any game that wants to have the label RPG associated with it. So I'm really excited just to open up today's video. But to the almost 70,000 of y'all who hit that subscribe button, welcome in, welcome back. The reason I want to say this right at the start of this video, even at some point after all the Starfield hype, if I lose all 70,000 of y'all because you don't like how I bring it in the videos itself, no worries. If I can convince one of y'all that you can be an everyday millionaire, if I can change just one of your lives who's ever listening to this, then every bit of this has been absolutely worth it. But we'll talk more about that in class dismissed at the end of this video. Let's dive into all of the news, and you can probably clearly see that I'm absolutely stoked for what we're going to be talking about here today. Now, Shinobi tweets this out. Starfield is just the starting gun for first-party Xbox games, says CMO Jarrett West. I think that we are entering in a period where this is just the beginning of something that's going to be really special over the course of the next several years. And this is important because I want to bring up a couple comments here. Druid Red, and I'm sorry if I'm completely butchering the name, says PlayStation gamers should remember that PC gaming is also included with Xbox gaming, and that this represents the largest gaming community out there. Tying this into, Jamal Live says, all of y'all need is a smart TV to play Starfield. What gamer in this day doesn't have access to a smart TV? You don't even need a console. Who's going to buy an Xbox when they already own a smart TV to play it? And this is all about what Microsoft is moving forward. Not to kick up the console wars, because the console wars in my mind are over, and all we're seeing is a bunch of dinosaurs argue about it on the way to the tar pits. Being that once you have this concept of play anywhere, games are games and people should have access to them. That's my mantra. That's been my whole viewpoint for well over a decade. And I've taken so much crap, so many hits because of this viewpoint. But over time, people start to realize just how good of a system this is. And that's where we're going to kick off today's video in style. Welcoming everybody. I'm really excited because while I can't say Jez here is talking about Starfield, it's very clear that I think that he is talking about Starfield, and maybe perhaps that he just played some at Gamescom. Now, he could have played some secret behind the scenes era, but ultimately, I'm very excited to see what these reviews all drop. In fact, if you guys want to come hang out, I'm going to be playing early access. I actually have the stream scheduled for August the 31st, and I'm going to be playing on September the 1st. And so if you guys have questions in real time, I'm going to be able to help answer them, give you guys my unfiltered thoughts about that. But let's continue on down this list for this video. Kareem shares out, Starfield gameplay is currently being shown off at Gamescom, and the reactions of people are coming out are amazed. Starfield and Xbox booths both look incredible, and also Todd Howard noted that they are adding in the final touches for the game before release. So maybe we're going to see a day one patch. Now, ultimately, we've got some reporting going on. Starfield is more Oblivion than Skyrim, according to Xbox boss Phil Spencer. I actually have some thoughts about this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts just on this topic alone. First and foremost, I think like when I look at between Oblivion and Skyrim, Oblivion was way more impactful for me. Skyrim felt way more polished, but it also felt like in terms of building your character, some of that stuff got streamlined. That's not me dogging on either game. Clearly, Skyrim resonated with many people across many devices. In fact, Todd said, you know, when asked, are you going to stop selling Skyrim? And he's like, when y'all stop buying it? But the fact that they're comparing, or Phil Spencer here is comparing it to Oblivion, to me, automatically sings that this is going to be a generational shifting kind of perspective of what's possible in video games. So this title alone, whether you want to buy into the hype or not, all of a sudden, that's exactly where my mind starts to go. The generational shift that Oblivion in my gaming history represented. And Starfield looks to be repeating that based off of this. And of course, that's my general assumption, but that's also how I've been feeling about it this entire time. Now, let's talk about some console war stuff just a little bit, because if you guys haven't been paying attention over on Twitter or on X, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. We all know what we're talking about when we're using these terms. Foxy Games is a gamer, and they've been tweeting out like, hey, Starfield, I'm in. I went and purchased an Xbox Series X, all about it. And because of that, we're starting to see some kickback, because I've seen Xbox, players talking about, hey, more people are coming over into this kind of mindset. It's interesting to me that Foxy or anybody actually goes out to buy an Xbox. Like, I think the idea is that if you want an Xbox, go ahead and get one. Same thing if you want a PlayStation. That's what I'm hoping for the future. But it's like, it comes to PC, it's on cloud, it can stream to your smart TV. And there's so many, in my mind, ways to play the game that it's interesting to see that it actually is moving consoles. Because, yeah, Foxy says, all platform fanboys are ridiculous, even myself in some instances. But I never expected PS fanboys who actually follow and watch my channel to do me so dirty when the way that they did during my bereavement process. I find this unforgivable. Going on in a part of this is that the hate is real and shameful, highlighting that people are saying that, hey, what is a shame that you're selling out to the enemy. Now, outside of the memes and like, hey, I like the Houston Astros, for example, and also I'm a Rangers fan. So I'm rooting for Texas Rangers and Houston Astros. Like any Texas team, really, I'm kind of biased as a Texan, but that's who I root for. Now, when Astros play Rangers, I go Astros every single time. But you know what happens? If the Rangers win, I'm still happy, right? Like, it's just all fun in games in my worldview. But some people do take it above and beyond. And I have seen this and experienced this hatred first and foremost. In fact, actually talking with Reforged about this yesterday, he, having been canceled, talked about how the console wars and that kind of tribalism is far worse than being canceled. So that was educational for me in that perspective. So I was just interested to learn that. But one final tweet from Foxy says, mostly Xbox gamers and some key PS gamers are cool about this. They're very rational in their responses. Even folks I've been taking issue with in the past came through. Thank you for your sensible replies. I say I learned a lot today would be an understatement. A man does not forget. And what Foxy's experiencing is what I think anybody in a creative way or a public facing way experiences, is when you have that. I get this all the time on this channel. I've gotten it for years. So I'm well conditioned to it, and I'm well fortified to not really give a crap about, what people say about me. And because the real story here is that it's all about your character. How you contort yourself in real life. Whether people want to bash me, online or, talks, make up stories about me, all of this has happened. I can't control that, and I'm not going to waste a single second worrying about what people think about me. It's just a wasted time and exercise. I'm going to just do the best that I can do, and I'm going to encourage people to be better. And that's ultimately what's happening here. And as people realize this aspect, especially when you build up a following where you could easily slip into tribalism, it's one of the reasons why I'm absolutely blown away by the growth that we've been experiencing here. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I expect you to have to stick around. If you don't like what I have to say, that's perfectly fine. Like, the relationship here is, I'm going to try to give you something awesome in your feed every day, and I'm going to win sometimes and I'm going to lose sometimes, and that's just the reality of it. But I just want, if nothing else, if one day you're like, you know what, that's pretty much it for me. the dude's nuts. I get it, man, and I just want you to go on and have the best life humanly possible. But what's interesting here is that when you see this kind of reaction, when you see people kind of take that kind of knee-jerk reaction, I always appreciate that. Like, I appreciate when somebody gives me more information. I'm always somebody seeking this detail and this news so that I can always try to make more informed decisions and better decisions overall. And it sucks when somebody discovers that aspect of that. Like, people say that, like, oh, I used to like you, or, oh man, you've changed, right? When it comes down to the, oh man, you changed, like, yes, I've changed. I've lived for the last 10 to 12 years absolutely sick. Like, physically, I've been struggling with a lot of things. Not all that stuff comes out on the channel. And thankfully, I've been able to get the care that I need so that I can be who I am. I'm a little much We all know it. Anybody here that's been following the channel for any period of time has seen a drastic difference. It isn't a difference in character. It isn't me playing this mystical role. It's me unencumbered by this illness that I have been suffering with for so long. And it feels so good to be able to, express myself and not necessarily also have to cater to the whims of somebody who's hit that subscribe button. But anyway, guys, that's the core of the video. We're going to shift now into our class dismissed section. If you're new to the channel, this is where we talk about anything and everything that you guys are talking about in a very, very direct and unbiased way, because I'm not here to coddle you. I think there's a lot of coddling that goes on the internet because people just want to grow. And you know what? Screw it, guys. Like I respect you enough to have you not ever wonder what I think or believe, right? That's something that's fascinating about me, is that a lot of people feel like, oh, because you follow somebody or you subscribe to somebody or you comment on something, that means you endorse that person for every little thing that they possibly believe. Listen, I don't like peanut butter. I never have. I don't know why. It doesn't mean because if you follow me that all of a sudden you're like, yeah, we got to get that peanut butter off the shelves. I'm not advocating for it, but that's the ridiculousness that I feel, that all of a sudden we start to advocate. But that's just how I think of the argument, being how ridiculous it ends up being. So you guys, whether you decide to comment below, nothing that we do here is a full endorsement of any one idea or more. I believe in discussion, conversation, coming together, and not censorship. In fact, one of the things that we do here is I have on Christmas and Easter, if you've been so absolutely toxic, you get put in timeout. I don't do bans. I don't like bans. I don't think people should be required to be in this permanent, like, okay, you can't talk to me mindset. I hope that and want to encourage like the idea that everybody can have redemption if they seek it out, right? And so on Christmas and Easter, I make sure I clear up any of the people who I've timed out. That's the term. And that's how I think about it. And so that's important to me. And that, if you didn't know that about the channel, well, you do now. And let's dive into it. Okay. Scrunky Owl, or OU, says, also just letting you know, you've sounded pretty rude and confrontational about stuff in your vids regarding politics and have nothing to do with the video topic. I'm not a fan of that, and I advise you to please stop at all the political talk. It's really off-putting to people like me who give zero Fs about politics and religion. I come here for your Starfield content, not to hear you rant and complain about unrelated crap. If you want to cover those topics and do it on a separate channel, or just make your own video, please. And honestly, with all due respect, you stick around for this section and you got your only self to blame. If it comes off rude, the goal isn't to be rude, but it's not to coddle you. It's not to hold your hand. It's not to lie to you. And there's so many great creators. I've been highlighting them here on the channel. Go watch them. This isn't content for you. I'm not trying to be the be all end all gaming content creator. In fact, the real reality is that having been sick, having had skin cancer in the past, having done all these, things that I've experienced, the fact that I'm still alive, I don't make this stuff for you. I don't even do this for me. I do this in ways of maybe hopefully talking to, my kids when I'm well and gone, etc. like that. So with all due respect, no, don't come around here if you can't handle it. A lot of people can't, and that's perfectly fine. This isn't me, and this isn't being rude. Being told that it's okay to go away, if you find that as rude, you're choosing to make that your interaction, right? You are choosing to be offended. And there is like the idea of I'm offended by, any of this, right? It's such a narcissistic thing. It's a narcissistic idea, right? Life is offensive. Everybody is just trying to have this milquetoast, like, oh, we can't walk and talk about everything out there because, oh, dear Lord, my number might go down. It's such bullshit that ultimately, if you think like this, I don't hate you at all. There's options for you. And that's why I say, if you stick around, you're agreeing to the terms that we're going to talk about some stuff. I'm not going to coddle you. And if you don't like that, that's fine. Trust me, I'm not trying to be somebody with 1 million subscribers. Like, if we ever get to 100,000, that's going to be crazy and awesome. But it's not, my whole world isn't hinged on it, etc. I'm going to be real with you guys. That's what I promise. And that's what we're going to keep rocking and rolling. Timothy Conley, and it's also not all negative. I just want to highlight that because it's just like, I'm going to keep seeing it. We're going to keep talking about it. And, yeah, that's how we're going to go. Timothy says, thought I came here for a Starfield discussion and ended up hearing a good bit about biblically based financial advice. Thank you for boldly sharing, and not only your story, but of overcoming a difficult financial struggle, but your faith as well. So I'm a devout Catholic. I used to be an atheist. And one of the cool things about, I have a deep passion for theological study. I have a deep passion for, and really this applies to all faiths and all viewpoints. My whole goal is to seek understanding in all points, every viewpoint. It doesn't mean that we're going to come to consensus. It doesn't mean that I'm going to agree. It doesn't mean that I'm going to try to convince you that I am right. I don't believe that I am right. I believe that I am called. If that is an expression in this case. And so on those very same notes, I dive in, I study, I read, and so when I speak about things, I don't speak willy-nilly. I really try to be reserved in new ideas and new information, but I do always want to be seeking out that, because I want to have a good conversation, a knowledge-based conversation with people. And one of the cool things about it is, you might not know, I'm actually a Catholic priest. Anybody who is listening to these words that has been baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit actually is too. This is what's called the mindset of a kingdom priest versus an actual ministerial priest. And that gets all back into biblical, Levitical, testament of, how the Jewish nation, the Hebrews came out of Egypt and so much more. It's really quite exciting stuff. We're not going to go into it in this video, but at the end of the day, I believe that it is my charge, it is my commission to love everybody very, very deeply. And I think to understand love, it requires an understanding of who they are. And that is essentially how we go about it. So yeah, I'm going to share that if you guys want to ever talk about it. But again, this is all about what you guys say in the comments. So hopefully you're enjoying it. Now, one final comment as a part of Class Dismissed before I wrap you up and send you on your way. The Lilypad says, love hearing about your journey and your empathy that comes with wealth. These small gestures show us that we are all one. I've been trying to hold off on the excitement that comes with anticipation of this game. Where is in for a good ride, though, so buckle up. Hearing and just mentioning the developers here from your perspective in the industry is fascinating. These videos will have been great content with these subjects arise on precisely the scope that we are looking at here. I have no doubt that we're all going to get lost a few times deep out in space. Oddity. Yes, I agree so much. I think especially with New Game Plus and what we've talked about here in this game, we're in for a real treat. Kind of what I've been saying as a core memory for gaming. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you, Lilypad, for the great conversation. And hopefully you guys, I can continue to encourage you that even if you only have $40,000 a year in a salary or less, you too can actually be a millionaire. You got to get rid of this debt mindset. Debt is stealing your future, and I'm going to keep preaching that because it is true. The numbers, the science, it all backs it up. But we've all been so heavily marketed to that when I say that, people are like, but no, I need debt to build wealth. And they don't realize that everybody, there's a couple of winners out there, and everybody always looks at lottery winners like we're all going to win the lottery. And that's just not the case. Most people who come into a windfall of money without developing the muscles of financial responsibility tend to lose it all. And I've met with them. I've worked with them. And it's crazy and it's tragic. And ideally, I can tell you that you don't need a big salary. I don't make a lot of money. And I've even shared what I make on this channel. And this channel, I don't do this for money at all. So thanks for watching all the way to the end of this video. I hope that you enjoyed. Hit that like button if you did. Sound off in the comments below as always. And your comments might be featured on future videos or future, Class Dismissed. But anyway, thank you guys for your time, your energy, and I love you very much. Hopefully you have a wonderful day. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. But until then, take care.